Good afternoon, everybody. The topic is quite interesting. It's about artificial intelligence. And as you all are aware, artificial intelligence is being used by lawyers across law firms and across practitioners. But it raises a lot of ethical concerns as well. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase and let's listen what our panelists have to say. We have an eminent panel of Dr. Pavan Duggal, Dr. Pradeep Kulshrestha, Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava and Mr. Rohan Rohatgi. So my first question would be to you, Mr. Pavan Duggal. How will AI change the role of lawyers and legal professionals, and what new skills will be required to work effectively with AI systems?
Thank you, Kaustubh. I think today AI will change the legal profession totally, but more significantly, it's going to make lawyers more nervous. Why? Well, 2 days back, you've seen Universal and Sony now coming up with a new lawsuit against AI music generators. So once you as lawyers will be generating content, these could be legal pleadings, these could be draftings, the potentiality of a potential legal exposure for the legal profession is going to be there. Number one, cut, copy, paste is gone. The second current approach is humanizing the AI content. I think with now Turnitin coming up with a dedicated AI tool, even humanizing of AI content is now passé. Therefore, you'll have to only look at inspiration, but not direct cut, copy, paste. Thirdly, I think you have to still realize that a large chunk of data that's been used for training is still not yet Indian data. It's been primarily Western data. So expecting a kind of an impartial viewpoint from AI will be a complete no-no. Let's begin a basic presumption that bias and discrimination will be our constant lifelong companions in the AI journey. And therefore, being aware of hallucination will be of topmost priority. The chances of unethical approaches being adopted by AI to guide, misguide, or shall I take you to a different direction could not be ruled out. Therefore, you will have to be having your guardrails on, more so as a legal professional, as to what kind of ethical prisms and the color lenses that you need to look at the output of AI. And finally, AI is getting very, very unreliable. So if you are not going to learn from the case of these two lawyers in the US who copy-pasted the written arguments generated by AI, presented in court, and found that 6 cases that were quoted therein were actually nothing but fake and fabricated cases, you're actually going to be playing with fire. So double due diligence, care and caution will be mantra for you moving forward. Needless to say, the positives are so many. It just is that as a lawyer, you need to be mindful of the fact that the use of AI could add a new exposure to the legal liability of the legal professional, and this exposure could come in not just from existing, but even from potential lawyers and potential stakeholders with whom you may not necessarily have a direct privity of contract. But all said and done, we cannot run away to the Himalayas. We will have to be here. So it's more a kind of a suraksha kavach that you can bring around you so as to make yourself more prepared, more protected, and also be more holistic in your approach. It's hard to predict. Why give yourself 3 years? By 2027, the super intelligence is coming in, which is going to be superseding human intelligence. So if you have just about 3 to 4 years for this kind of a time frame to get prepared, I think the focus has to be more on creating more capacities, more awareness, and being aware of the fact that we are going to be riding a running tiger. We will not have the ability to get off the tiger. We will need to calibrate our approaches as we move on in this tiger race on the AI ecosystem. Thanks.
So we will have to be prepared to mitigate the risks associated with AI. So my next question would be to Mr. Rohatgi. What ethical considerations arise when using AI in legal education and practice, and how can they be addressed?
Thank you, Kaustubh. Before I proceed, I feel a bit out of place with all the doctors here. So I think Dr. Duggal covered most of this aspect in terms of ethical considerations. But to start with, I think we have a live example that he mentioned. In the US, there have been cases, and there are proceedings now, bar council proceedings that are going on against these lawyers who have now utilized what came out of ChatGPT, referred cases without accountability, without cross-checking that did these cases really exist in the first place. So there has to be accountability, and secondly, there has to be accuracy. That even if I go onto a ChatGPT, which is now, let's say, in a way, ChatGPT is 3.0, which is, most of the students will probably relate to this, is what we call generative AI. And what generative AI is really doing is, if I type in a certain problem, that I'm looking for a case law in relation to a certain problem, ChatGPT will help me in finding that, correct? But it is our responsibility, ethically and professionally, to cross-check that is this case there, does it really exist? The findings of ChatGPT, are they really true? Because we also need to know how this system works. ChatGPT is basically putting all data together. It's not creating data. It's only giving you an analysis of what is already been fed into the system. So that is very important. Thirdly, I believe what will really happen is, till now we had, in terms of, let's say, the bar council here, we have ethics that we are regulated by. And these ethics don't specifically deal with, tomorrow it could be that when you are writing to clients, today when we send out an email, we say, whatever we say is protected by attorney-client privilege. There could be a scenario where we need to say that, we are using ChatGPT for advisory services as well, because the client is coming to you for an advisory, and if they could get this from a ChatGPT, you are not required anymore. But the difference here is AI or ChatGPT or whatever be the synonyms that we use for it can only assist you in finding data. You will still need lawyers to analyze, to present. That cannot be, at this point of time at least, done by, in a way I will say, robotics. You can't have robots being fed with AI and saying, okay, this is what it is. So in terms of ethical considerations, I feel accountability, accuracy, bias, and something which is very important is privacy and confidentiality. Now what AI is really throwing up, we do not know what all that data is really, right? A lot of that data could be confidential data, which has been fed into the system. Tomorrow, if you're using that for legal proceedings, you could be in a soup. So that again, it all comes down to, I believe, accountability, right? Ethics and accountability is all that. Now there's one more aspect before I close this. We also need to understand, when we see the legal profession today, when we operate our firms or legal practices, there are two aspects to it. One is the legal side to it, the other is the administrative side to it, right? A lot of us are already using AI-based softwares for our administrative sides of our practice. On the legal sides also, I believe a lot of us are using softwares which are, in a way, at the back end are AI-based. It could be case law management, it could be case law generators, it could be management of your IPs, it could be searches and watches in relation to IP. So there are already tools which are there in the market that we are using, but they are very, I will say 1.0 to 2.0. There's already usage of AI, and I think there's been acceptability to a large extent. It's just that when we move forward, are we able to adapt and improve in terms of what is there and what we propose to really utilize it in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rohatgi. My next question would be to Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava. What are the implications of data privacy regulations on the use of AI in legal services?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And before, I guess, the 5 pointers that we generally see out of an data privacy or in generative AI has very well been covered by Dr. Duggal and when Mr. Rohatgi was taking it up. Also, one line that I like to borrow for, when Mr. Rohatgi said that it is a thing where a panel has 3 doctors and he himself not being a doctor. But I guess the technological era isn't seeing that. So it is immaterial whether at this stage we having doctors or professors in front of our name and someone who is so technologically advanced that he is ready to use a 3.0 or ready for a 4.0. And before I take this up, we all should understand that it is just a tool. Now, a generative AI, by whatever means, is merely a tool, and how well we as legal educators, we as law students, or we as lawyers are using it up. Now, when I'm talking about the law, the GDPR specifically talks about the Article 6, Article 8, Article 22. But we should not forget, which is very important, and somewhere the DPDP Act is missing onto, is the Article 35. Now, Article 35 talks about the impact assessment of the data protection and privacy, which when we see, and as per the question when Kaustubh is taking that question up, the transparency is there, the biasness as is very well being covered, the accountability is covered, but what is not being covered is how you are utilizing it and what would be its impact. Sir rightly mentioned that 2027 when we are seeing to a super intelligent level where technology is going to come and go again. Now, the only difference between a good lawyer and a dedicated lawyer was not of what the content you are getting. So if that content was ready with us, with the case laws, but the cross-checking and getting an accountable there, how well we are using that particular. This happens with the law students when they go for a moot court. They get a US case on the same point, but then one of your team members would come out and say, isn't it having a persuasive value? How can we get a Supreme Court judgment and authority over the same, which if it is an Indian moot court where we are taking on to, can be brought all together. And this exactly is the 5th point, that is the accountability with ethics, with biasness, and with the transparency should also have an impact assessment over the point. Now, as for my law students, how well we are taking it up, be advanced when the technology is there. Do not make yourself reliable on the tool, rather than use the tool to be reliable on you and whatever is the output that you are getting by the click of that enter. Make sure the 5 parameters or the 5 tests that you are getting before you are presenting it as your assignment, as your dissertation, or in future as a brief to your client or as a judgment to what the advocates are being presenting on you, should all pass with the final thing of the impact that it's going to make. Whether it is reliable, that where your biasness comes into play, and you need to be very clear with it. So that would be all how the cost would be.
Thank you. Dr. Kulshrestha, I'd like to ask you, what are the most promising applications of AI in legal research and writing, and how can law students develop skills to work effectively with these tools?
Thank you very much. Good question. My encounter with AI was with ChatGPT. When my students started bringing their homework and assignments on ChatGPT, and I was taking them not knowing about it, then someone leaked this information to me that they are from ChatGPT. So then I went on net and I found out that this is the tool they are using. Then thanks God, Turnitin came and they started checking that how much is from AI. So I don't know which tool next is going to use for home assignments and for research, which again we will have to wait for some other tool to come to check. On a serious note, now this is the time when law schools should start training students on use of AI. Because technology lastly is here and we have to make best use of it. And for India to develop our legal student, law student, they have to be technologically savvy. And I must tell you, we are well equipped and students are quite smart, and I'm sure they are going to use AI in a best possible manner. We at Benett Law School have a school of AI, and we are partnering with the faculty of AI, and from this coming semester we are going to impart systematic training to law students on legal tech, on generative AI, on AI, so that how they can make best use of this. Because we can't keep sitting and fearing that what will happen next 3 years, 4 years. We have to adapt The technology will be ready for the changes. And this is not only going to stop at AI or generative AI. The future for me is full of possibilities, full of opportunity. Maybe shape of employment will change, but no technology, to my understanding, is going to replace human being. Because the critical thinking which we are having, perhaps I may go wrong, I don't know what lies in future, because Dr. Pavan Duggal has told we are going to ride a tiger, and if we are to ride a tiger, we shall and we can. But to my understanding, we have a law teachers here, we have law students, we have practicing advocates. We should now come forward and train this generation of law students so that next 4 or 5 years we are ready to face this challenge. Otherwise, it will be like a hit and trial method which we are doing. That may create problem, because what to prompt, how to prompt, that all has to be in place. So this is the right time for us to embrace the change, come forward, and I am thankful to Dr. Pavan Duggal. He has been very kind. Whenever we request him, he comes out to our place, and I see him. He goes to most of the law schools. So that way we are fortunate in this profession. All of us, judges, practitioners, teachers, law students, they all are quite adaptive. And you reach out to anyone, they take out their time and they are ready to handhold. So this is another thing which I will touch upon, that mentorship. Because if we have a strong mentorship, then we can really take care of this technological change, and we shall make best of this. I am quite sure. But we need strong handholding. We need all stakeholders to come together. Like in COVID, we all saw how technology saved us. Again, AI is going to maybe enhance our productivity. We saw internet. There was so much fear. I remember Rajiv Gandhi government, when they were bringing computers, they were opposition, that computers are going to take away jobs. 80s, I remember. But thanks to him, he brought, and now they have helped us become more efficient. Similarly, internet, they also brought next level of efficiency. AI is going to make us more efficient. Maybe employment nature may change, but we have to make best use of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
Or understand the importance of, how communication is important, because as someone rightly said, that you make money for communicating. That's what lawyers do, and this is the one thing that they're lacking on. So what advice would you give to law students for these things? Because it's too much AI at this point, so I just wanted to ask you that. What are your opinions regarding that?
Well, let me begin by asking stakeholders that if you are in the legal ecosystem, stop using AI for your day-to-day routine stuff, because it's getting identifiable very quickly. Also, your creativity is going for the big six. None of the students or the interns that are coming in want to think creativity or think out of the box. Why? Because they think, well, let me go to the paid version of GPT-4o, and that's about all. I'll have 10 points, and what I will talk, nobody else will talk, and that's good. Well, very quickly you'll have to start realizing you are on a way of decay, a way of stagnation. So interpersonal relationships will be more crucial, but at least people need to be sensitized. Today, youngsters come in and they think that they are so tech savvy that their so-called law firms or employers will not even get to know what they are currently doing. I think it's a mindset we'll have to slightly change, but it'll take some time. Don't expect overnight things. I'm not expecting that. But over to you. Thanks.
I like to add here. See, writing a mail, maybe it took for me 5 years how to write a mail, and I learned from my seniors. Now if a student is attempting to write a mail, and I know he is using ChatGPT, we should not be discouraging so much. I think he is trying to cover those 5-6 years, which I have gone through. So they are taking their baby steps. Eventually they will also, as in morning session it was told, exponential learning. So life is all about exponential learning. So they are, maybe they are lucky to have ChatGPT at first step. We didn't have. So fine, it is, you can take it with a pinch of salt, that they are at least making it an attempt.
I would just answer you that first I'll compliment you, that at least you have that knowledge of identifying whether it is coming from an AI, number one. So I guess that's the first part of the answer, that if these students are getting, I guess I am advanced enough to take it up. So I'll just give a small example. So at my law school, I frame, not really, I am ready with an open book. Again, gone are those days when I'm going for an open book exam. Today I'm going for an open mobile or an open internet answers. And I myself check it whether my question is there and whether the ChatGPT 4.0 is, I have that paid version of it. I use Gemini, it was earlier Bard, it was coming on to, whether it has an answer to it or not. And till the time it doesn't have an answer, that question is not posted to the student, first part. Second, I can tell you my internship days, and then the legal databases like Manu Patra, like LexisNexis is the off lately thing. But Manu at that time was a big thing. And when I'm talking it to be a big thing, I was scolded by my senior and a senior advocate at Supreme Court that no, go to the library, take that AIR, write on it and then bring it to me. I don't want this shortcut of getting into Manu Patra. And as I said in my opening remark, we need to remember it is just a tool. And this is specifically for my law students. These are just tools. Don't let the tool become the master and the master become the tool. That's a simple answer to it. And with the technology, believe me, the times would be there. And I agree when Pradeep sir rightly mentioned that when in 80s computers were there and it would take away the job of the people. No, because it is made by a human and it would again be an artificial. I would even bring in yesterday's thing. Okay, so everybody could have predicted, and I don't know whether you have done that or not. You could have predicted yesterday's match results on AI. And it was a predicted meter there. I would recall it back. There was a chance where it was showing 17% to India and 83% to South Africa, where 30 runs were required for 30 balls. But the result, yeah? It was 3.5%. Okay. So sir was way too advanced to see that thing as well. So I was like, no, I am focusing on match as well. So, but the result was something which AI could have never predicted. And sir, when he's mentioned about 3.5, I can again recall Melbourne, India-Pakistan match where that particular thing. So first, when we are a step ahead as teachers, as law firm people, as even judges. So we need to be, I am so happy to see the Supreme Court where my justices are with their iPads. And that is also a change, believe me for this. So this is a big change that I'm seeing, okay, if the submissions to whom it is submitted is well advanced, and we are recognizing it to be a tool. So I can easily recognize even by the first phase of it that it is an AI generated thing. I can even tell you the ways to wake up to it, how to meet that thing, and there are technology. I can name the AIs right now, but again, that would not be a good thing as a law teacher to take it up. But yes, that's rightly mentioned, the law schools have taken that step up. So law schools are providing the master's degree where technology and law are coming together. The teachers are well equipped with it. And I guess that's a very clear answer. Plus, this is also giving you an answer to put a filter up. So that is all for my side. So.
May I just ask a supplementary question? Because her question is posed more to what you teach. And the question is, why are the law colleges not teaching reasoning, logic, analytical writing? If we are also saying go ahead for ChatGPT, dulling the brain. This analytical thought, the ability to think out of the box, come out with a new solution, is dead after. Why are you doing that? So I am asking that question to all law colleges here, and I am requesting, please go back and look at your curriculum. How much of actual logical thinking, reasoning, analytical writing is being taught? Not. India never teaches logic in the undergrad, and very rarely even post.
I don't agree
Yeah.
with you.
I would love to see the curriculum.
It's a simple generalization. You see legal education post-independence, and you make.
I am a lawyer.
Yeah. You see legal education post-independence, maybe from 50 to 80.
88 batch.
Yeah.
85 to 80.
Yeah, and then you can again see from 80 to maybe 90, and then you can see post-analysis, and then you can see post maybe private universities. There is a sea change. You can't say that law schools are not doing anything. They are not. They are not. They are.
No defensiveness, sir.
No. I'm not defensive. What I'm saying.
This is a question answer session.
Yeah.
What is your question, sir? My question, sir, is very simple. What the young lady asked you actually makes us think. I was a professional, as a managing partner of a large firm you as a dean of a college have to think about it.
See, you are twisting her question.
Helping the human mind to keep
Her question was, students are writing mail from ChatGPT. See, student is taught how to write from class 1. How to write application, how to write mails, and they all are writing. You can't expect everything for law schools to do.
If I just may add, just to her question, I believe these are just to add on to this these are comprehension issues as well that we're looking at. If there's somebody, and I'm looking at it from a professional angle, if somebody can't, draft a basic email, is that a person that I can really give a draft of a legal proceeding or a basic CND notice? So that, because then this AI becomes for me an associate intelligence. I don't need that associate. I have AI as an associate. So I'm not saying don't use ChatGPT. Even the Supreme Court today is using an AI tool for translation into vernacular languages. Recently, even a Gujarat High Court judge has said that I used for my case law searches, I used ChatGPT. Like I said earlier, use it, but don't be reliant on it. Basic stuff like writing emails, drafting cannot be supplemented. Because, today all of us who are sitting here as professionals have spent years and years to develop that craft. And while they can use ChatGPT, the question is, are we developing the craft properly? If you remember when social media came in, firms started blocking, you couldn't go to your office and access social media. I feel there could be a time where there could be a blockage that even if you're using ChatGPT, you can only use to this much extent. You can't use it beyond that. Today, you can't access a Facebook, or an Instagram in most of the offices. Leave aside, law firms. I feel this could be the next prohibition probably at the firms in terms of the technology aspect.
With the permission, can I make one comment, please?
Please.
This is to Pavan. Pavan, you say that after 3 or 4 years, the things are going to be very, very difficult. But to me, there are only 26 alphabets. We create so many words, so many sentences. Now, what AI does, AI is a tool, just a tool. What does it do? What the machine learns? Whatever prediction has been given, they capture it and they store it. Now, when we search it, we get those predictions only, and under a different types of assumptions, under a different types of environment. But today, when a judge is going to give a decision, the context has changed, environment has changed, scenario has changed. So he has to use his own acumen, his own understanding for giving the judgment. He may use them as a tool, but he cannot use them as a judgment. So that's my take.
Thank you, sir. You're bang on target. My only thing is, the tool is getting so powerful that if you have the wherewithal, the ability, and the will to misuse it, you can misuse it with that much ease. And when the super intelligence comes in by 2027, it will actually supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a whole. So, if you're using it in positive sense, wonderful. 2 things. Number 1, how do we control it? We still have no idea. Number 2, assuming somebody wants to misuse it, then the potentiality of that could actually have a huge disruptive approach. Again, this is based on what is available on the horizon right now. In my recent book, Super Intelligence and the Law, I've argued that the time for building the legal guardrails is right now when you're building AI. Because when it's a super intelligence that's coming in, by the time you realize that it's beyond you, the game is over. You'll be at no point of time be in the driver's seat, because this super intelligence will always have the ability to be potentially used against humanity, against human interest. And in the coming times, I'm expecting more and more judges, more and more legal professionals to just give their propositions to the AIs, just to get an idea, just to get an inspiration. Yes, we will have to disconnect ourselves, but somewhere down the line, to the extent we can use the constructive areas of the utilization of this tool, it's great. But again, sir, it's all about traditional thinking. If we are trained that we'll only use the tool for a particular amount or for a particular quantum, then I think we are far more well equipped to deal with these changes. But if you think everything is dependent on ChatGPT from morning till evening, well, people are not realizing with the latest version ChatGPT 4.0, they have now created a new function. It's called the memory updation function. It is constantly creating a memory file about you. Everything that you talk about, everything that you ask of is being documented in a memory file, which tomorrow is going to be used for the purposes of making you listen to music that you would want to listen. So basically, it's going to be customizing the answers in such a manner so that it can suit your particular appetite. So it's a very interesting times, very dangerous times, but it's interregnum times and we'll have to be prepared.
That's absolutely fine. But it is throughout the human life, we have seen it, where there is a technological disruptions. People have either used this as a boon or as a bane. So this is also going to be used. If you can use it, it will be boon, otherwise it will be bane.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, let's wrap up the discussion. Thank you so much, panelists.